Imagine this, you and Eric just received your first real paychecks and each saved $5,000. Now, you're looking at your brand new brokerage accounts, trying to decide what to do next. Should you invest in a few individual stocks that seem promising, or should you stick to what most people say and put your money into the S&P 500 ETF? Fast forward 10 years. Eric's investments have grown to $9,000. Not too shabby, with an 80% return. But when you check your account, you're shocked to see over $20,000, an outstanding 300% difference just because of a different choice at the start. In this video, I'll break down what would happen to your $5,000 over 5, 10, and 20 years with each approach. And stick around until the end, because you'll discover a powerful hybrid strategy used by professional investors that could double your returns compared to what most people achieve. Today's video tackles the ultimate investment showdown: ETFs versus individual stocks. We'll compare real numbers and examples to help you figure out which option might work best for your situation. By the end of this video, you'll learn the exact pros and cons of each approach and which strategy has historically created more millionaires and a decision framework used by financial experts, and in the last, a hybrid approach that has outperformed the S&P 500 by 8.5% annually. This could completely transform how you build wealth, but only if you understand the critical differences we'll explore in the next few minutes. Before jumping into specific examples, it's important to understand what really sets ETFs and individual stocks apart. And it's more than what many so-called experts say. ETFs, or exchange-traded funds, are like baskets filled with different investments. Think of it this way. Imagine going to a grocery store where you can either buy individual fruits, like one apple, one orange, and one banana, or purchase a pre-made fruit basket with a variety of fruits already selected for you. ETFs are like that fruit basket. On the other hand, buying individual stocks is like picking specific fruits. If you use that same $500 to buy Apple stock, you're becoming a partial owner of just that one company. You'll directly benefit from Apple's new iPhone launches, service growth, and future innovations. But if people suddenly stop buying iPhones or Apple faces a major challenge, your investment is fully exposed to that single company's fate. This difference becomes clearer when you look at your investment statements. With individual Apple stock, you might see 3 shares of Apple. With an ETF, you'd see 1 share of VOO, which contains fractional ownership in hundreds of different companies. Many people think that ETFs are all about diversification, while stocks are solely about growth. However, this simple view doesn't capture the complexities that can seriously affect your investment returns. Let's break it down with some real examples that will show you exactly how each approach would perform in your portfolio. Let's examine 2 clear investment paths for you and Eric to highlight the differences. Path 1. The sleep well at night. ETF strategy. Imagine you decide to invest $5,000 in VOO, Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, while Eric picks individual stocks. You tell Eric over coffee, "I just bought VOO because it gives me a piece of 500 of the biggest companies in America with just one purchase. The fee is only 0.03%, which means I pay just $1.50 a year on my whole investment." This strategy adapts automatically as the market evolves. As companies rise and fall, the index changes, removing failing companies and adding new ones that are doing well. Financial experts call this passive investing, but it's really more like an automatic survival of the fittest system that has averaged about 10% returns per year historically. To break it down, your $5,000 in VOO could grow to approximately $8,050 after 5 years, and $13,000 after 10 years, and $33,600 after 20 years. All this happens without you needing to research companies or worry about one company's failure ruining your savings. Path 2. The fortune favors the bold. Stock strategy. Meanwhile, Eric decided to put his whole $5,000 into Apple stock when the company was mostly known for its iPhones and iPads. In your coffee chat, he explains, "I picked Apple because I saw everyone changing their phones every 2 to 3 years. This created a steady income stream that many tech companies lack. Plus, once you get into the Apple ecosystem with an iPhone, MacBook, and Apple Watch, it's tough to switch to another brand. If Eric had invested that $5,000 in Apple a decade ago, it would now be worth around $55,000, an incredible return of about 1,000%, far beyond what any ETF would have provided. But here's what most people don't talk about. Apple's stock dropped almost 45% in 2013 due to worries about slowing innovation. Then, in 2020, it fell 31% during the COVID-19 market crash before bouncing back to new highs. Many investors sold their stocks during these downturns, missing out on the recovery. Let's take a moment to compare the growth potential of both paths directly. In ETF path, a $5,000 investment grows to $13,000 after 10 years, yielding a 160% return. And in stock path, a $5,000 investment grows to $55,000 after 10 years, yielding a 1,000% return. This massive difference explains why some investors are drawn to individual stocks. But there's another side to this story that we'll explore in a moment. And later in the video, we'll reveal a strategy that combines the best of both approaches. Here's something shocking. Most individual investors underperform the market, regardless of which method they pick. This is critical to understand before making your decision. For ETF investors, the main issue is often too much trading. Studies show that the average investor in index funds makes about 2% less than the funds themselves because they buy and sell at the wrong times. When the market drops, many investors panic and sell, missing out on the chances for recovery. For those who pick individual stocks, the problem is even bigger. Research from Dalbar reveals that the average equity fund investor earned only 5.96% a year over 30 years, while the S&P 500 gained 9.71%. This gap is caused by overconfidence in picking stocks, or emotional decisions during market ups and downs, or lack of proper diversification, or trying to time the market. The key takeaway is that your investment strategy needs to match your personal mindset. Even the best mathematical strategy will not help if you can't stick with it during market ups and downs. But what if there was a way to combine the best aspects of both approaches? In the next section, we'll reveal a strategy used by professional investors that could significantly boost your returns while keeping risk manageable. The core and explore strategy. Financial experts and wealth managers often recommend what's called the core and explore strategy, an approach that balances security with growth potential. The core, 70 to 80% of your portfolio. The foundation of this strategy includes broad market ETFs, which offer steady and diverse exposure to the market. 60% in a total US market ETF, like VTI, and 20% in an international ETF, like VXOS. This core portion gives you access to thousands of companies across various sectors and regions, helping you benefit from global economic growth without much effort or expense. The explore, 20 to 30% of your portfolio. This section is where you can invest in individual stocks from industries you understand well. Professional investors typically follow these guidelines. Only invest in companies whose products or services you personally use, and keep each stock investment between 2% and 5%, and never over 5% in one stock, and be prepared to hold investments for at least 5 years. And last, document your investment thesis before buying. Let's see how this would work in practice. Imagine you and Eric each have $10,000 to invest. Using the core and explore strategy, you would allocate $7,500 to broad ETFs, your core, and $2,500 split among 3 to 5 individual stocks you understand well, your explore part. If the market grows by 10% each year and your stock picks perform similarly, you'd end up with about $25,937 after 10 years, the same as if you invested everything in ETFs. But if just one of your stock picks performs exceptionally well, achieving 20% annual growth, your total could rise to $30,727, an extra $4,790 without taking on excessive risk. But which specific mix is right for your situation? That's what we'll cover next. Financial experts typically use a 4-question framework to help determine the optimal investment approach for different individuals. Number 1. How much time can you realistically set aside for research? If you have less than 2 hours a month, invest 90% in ETFs and 10% in individual stocks. For 2 to 5 hours a month, allocate 80% to ETFs and 20% to individual stocks. For more than 5 hours a month, place 70% in ETFs and 30% in individual stocks. Number 2, how do you react to market ups and downs? Feel anxious and check accounts often? Invest 90% in ETFs and mild discomfort, but stay rational. 70 to 80% ETFs and see market drops as an opportunity. 50 to 70% ETFs. Number 3, what's your investment time horizon? For less than 5 years, invest 90% in ETFs. And for 5 to 10 years, invest 70 to 80% in ETFs. And for 10 plus years, invest 50 to 70% in ETFs. Number 4, what's your primary financial goal? If the goal is wealth preservation, invest 90% in ETFs. And if the goal is steady growth with moderate risk, invest 70 to 80% in ETFs. And if the goal is maximum growth potential, invest 50 to 70% in ETFs. Your answers to these questions lead to a personalized investment mix that balances potential returns with your lifestyle constraints and comfort level. If you enjoyed learning about ETFs versus stocks, check out the video on your screen. Dividend income from $10,000. You'll be surprised by the passive income from a $10,000 investment using the strategy I reveal. Click on it now.